I know all about it. Yes, I should make sure my goals are stated in the positive. Yes, I should write them down. Yeah, I know all that stuff. Come on. But you know what? You got to be careful not to get caught in that trap called the law of familiarity. Where you get so used to it, you begin to take it just a little bit for granted because fundamentals have to be practiced daily. Hey, think about the greatest coaches that you can think of in sports history. Names that come up for me are names like Vince Lombardi, for example, or John Wooden. What were they known most for? Teaching fundamentals to people that were already the best at what they do. I mean, think about it. John Wooden would take a basketball player, a kid who is the best in the world at what he does virtually, at least for his age group, and he can make a shot from virtually anywhere, and he'd go, "That's really cute, kid. Get over here, and I want you to shoot 400 free throws." And the kid says, "I can do that." He said, "Yeah, well, let's see you do it." Or, "Come over here, and I want to see you shoot 500 bank shots from 5 feet." "Well, I can do that," the kid would say. He goes, "Yeah, I know you can do it, and you're going to do it every day this many times so that you do it in the key clutch moments. You got to practice fundamentals every day." He won 11 consecutive national championships, unlike any team in history. That's the power of fundamentals. So anytime I do a workshop, anytime I try and do tapes, usually I put a goal-setting workshop in there. And some of them have some similarities. So if you've done one with me before, here's a chance to do it again and do it even more effectively. Invariably, when I hear people say something like, "Well, teach me something new," I know they aren't into mastery. Because repetition, again, is the mother of skill. You've heard me say that over and over again. It's because if you want to master anything, you've got to do it over and over and over again. And every time I do a goal-setting workshop myself, I obviously make new distinctions. I set up some new goals. They change. So don't take it for granted and say, "Well, I can do that some other time. I already know my goals." Don't get caught in that hook. Break through the bonds of your past and look at the world in a whole new way where you understand fundamentals must be practiced daily and you'll do whatever it takes. You're not bored by fundamentals. You get excited about doing the daily things that create the ongoing level of happiness and joy you want for a lifetime. Now, let's take a quick look. What is the power of goals? Why do we talk about them so much? Why do we need to use them? Why are they important? Answer: with goals, we create the future in advance. We create our destiny. We shape our lives. Hey, we all have goals, whether we know it or not. The problem is some people have really lousy goals. And whatever your goals are, they're affecting you. Maybe your goals are to get through this day. Maybe the goals are how to pay the lousy bills. The problem with goals like that is they don't exactly inspire you and get you to jump out of bed early in the morning and say, "I can't wait to go out today and pay my lousy bills." Rarely does that really create emotion and drive inside of you. Goals can create the power to make us grow and expand and develop our success. But we've got to have something out there that's compelling enough to draw us forth. Done properly and specifically, they transform our lives. One of my best and favorite examples is a study that was done in 1953 at Yale University. What they did there was an intensive study where they interviewed the graduating class just before they left school. And they asked them, "I can tell you in my own life, it has transformed me. That you can know all the techniques of how to condition yourself to succeed, but if you don't know why you're doing it, if you don't know what it is you're moving towards, then it's rare that you're going to get the most out of yourself." Years ago, I had the unique good fortune as I began to study some of these technologies for optimum performance. I was invited to go to Russia, and I spent over there approximately 2 weeks. During that time, I got a chance to explore many aspects of Russia. I got to go to the universities. I got the chance to meet with some of the people who were involved in optimum performance technologies. And in the process of doing that, I found myself on one stretch where I was on the Trans-Siberian Railway, where I was going literally from Moscow all the way to Siberia and then back to Leningrad again. We're talking about a large stretch of land and a lot of time to just think. During that time, I was just starting to develop some of my personal power. I really hadn't created my life the way I wanted it, but I felt like there were some possibilities out there for me. I was still living in my 400 square foot bachelor apartment. I was still overweight. I was still in a position where I really didn't have my life where I wanted it in terms of my relationships. But on that trip, for 2.5 days, all I did was set goals. And then for another 2 or 3 days, all I did was design plans on how I was going to achieve them. And I set goals that were well beyond my present ability or skill. I had no idea how I was going to make them happen. And that's important. But I operated from a principle that's talked about in every religion known to man. So regardless of what you believe religiously or spiritually, It's a common law, and that is the power of absolute total belief and faith. I operated from the frame that if I could get inspired enough, if I found a goal that was exciting enough for me, I would figure out how to make it happen. Even though right now it might seem impossible, I would pull it off. And I laid out goals for my life in virtually every area, personally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, physically, financially. And I chunked down, what do I want in my life ultimately, and what do I want right now? And a lot of areas I thought, well, I can make it happen. I figured I can get control of my emotions. And so I set goals about how I wanted to be, how I wanted to communicate, how much joy I wanted to have, how much passion, how I want to live every single day, the kind of person I wanted to be as a human being. I described everything. Now you might say, well, gosh, you're really creating a lot of limitations. I set goals and I look at them and then I review them and see if they still make sense to me. But I did it in detail. I also did it in the area of finances, and I set some pretty absurd goals. I decided I want to make $250,000 a year in personal income. At the time, I was making less than $3,000 a month. $3,000 was a good month. Guess what happened? I came back. I laid out this plan. In fact, I did the plan on the back of a map that I bought in Russia. I have it to this day, where I broke down the whole thing. I show it oftentimes to people in my seminars so they get an idea of where I was and what I actually created just by designing the roadmaps necessary for success. I came back and began to implement it. A lot of my plans, I have to tell you, did not work out. But I achieved over 80% of my goals in less than 12 months. I mean, massive change. I went well beyond anything I dreamed of. I changed myself physically. I lost all the weight. I changed myself emotionally and developed the confidence that was necessary. I changed myself in my relationships massively. I took myself from totally broke financially to over $1 million net worth in less than 12 months. You talk about massive change. My life changed in every level. I mean, I can tell you how much my confidence changed, but you might go, oh, big deal. But it did. My level of confidence, my level of faith, my ability to create rapport changed radically. I mean, and I also set thing goals besides my personal development goals because I had felt confident that I could probably accomplish some of the development within myself. But I felt like I can control that. I can't control the outside world or my economics or the ability to get things. That was my hang up at the time. I set goals for things like I was going to have a limousine, a stretched limousine. I mean, how absurd. I had a car that was... The magic that you've heard about and dreamed about is real, and it starts with a simplistic process of taking these generalized impulses of desire and starting to define them with more precision. This is the power of goal setting, and we don't understand totally how it works. There's something beyond just what we understand of writing something down. Something happens. You become a creator when you write down goals and you get clear as to absolutely why you'll make them happen. And by the way, that's the key that we're going to touch on here in detail. We've got to make sure that you not only set goals, but you get absolutely clear why you want them. Because there's a fundamental key to goal setting that changed my life, and that is this. Purpose is stronger than outcome. What do I mean? Well, I think that the purpose of goals is not so you get things. The purpose of any goal, the real reason to set goals, is what they will make of you as a person. Hey, look, at the end of your life, all the things that you accumulate are not going to make you happy. At the end of your life, all you're going to have is who you've become as a person, the moments you've created in your life that you'll never forget. So some people in life, they go out and set goals and they do it blindly. They say, these are all things I want to have in my life. And they focus, let's say, on things. And there's nothing wrong with focusing on things. I want you to have as many things as you want. That's part of life too. That's part of the manifestation process of creating results. But if all you do is focus on getting things, it may cost you. Some people in their desire to get things have given up their own integrity of who they want to be, of what they want to create in their life. And you got to be careful of that. You got to make sure when you set a goal, you know why you're doing it. Hey, you might work real hard, for example, to do something thing-oriented. Let's say you want to make $1 million. But see, $1 million only motivates you so much. Becoming the kind of person who is able to manifest total abundance financially and physically for themselves and the people around them, that's rather exciting. Having the freedom that you think the money will give you, or having the ability to give, or having the ability to do things that you think that money will give you, or having more time, that'll motivate you a lot more than just the money. Does that make sense? The problem with setting goals is, one, most people take them for granted. They don't do it seriously and they don't do it consistently. They do it once a year and they do it at New Year's. They run into the New Year's syndrome. They set a goal and they don't even look at it till a year later and they go, oops, I kind of screwed up, and they set a new one. So they have no power. Secondly, they don't realize the power of goals. They take it lightly. They go, well, yeah, I got these goals, but they don't make sure that they get it inside their head where it's absolutely real for them. They don't realize that when they set a goal, they're now creating something in life. And finally, the biggest challenge, I think, is that these people don't know why they're going for their goals. So the object, the goal itself, they get enthusiastic for a while and then it dies out. Again, why is different for everyone, but you got to find out the reasons. I believe this. Reasons come first, answers come second. If you get a big enough reasons to do something, to accomplish something, you can figure out how to do it. But if all you do is set up a goal and say, oh gosh, how am I going to go about it? You're not going to be inspired enough. It's not going to be compelling enough for you to really create long-term results. Every great success I know has figured out the why behind their goals, and that's their power. So in our process, we're going to spend a good deal of time focusing on why do we want these goals after we've identified them, and secondly, how we're going to go about making it happen. But that's secondly. We're going to start from the frame that we can achieve anything as soon as we think of it. Somebody once pointed out to me a long time ago that desire in its Latin form means of the Father. Desire. I thought that's interesting. In other words, anything that I desire, that thought process has been given to me. And with the ability to have a goal, I believe instantly comes the ability to achieve it. That ability is built within us or we wouldn't have the desire in the first place. So come from that place and watch what you can do to create a new reality of success in your life. Now, I got a question for you. Do you know why goals really work? Well, there are lots of theories, but I'll tell you what a few of mine are. Number one, I believe that thoughts are things. That whatever we focus on consistently, we experience in our life. You and I know that's true from what we've talked about earlier in this tape. That if I pay attention to one area of my life and I focus on it, that's what's going to be real for me. That's what I'm going to feel. I also believe that whatever we focus on consistently, that our thoughts are things that as you think, so you create, so you manifest. So part of goal setting is just by having that focus, and again, having a consistent focus. You can't just set goals one time and then never look at them again and really expect long-term results. Although, hey, that's better than not having any target at all. At least your subconscious mind knows the general direction to move in. But the power is doing it consistently, reviewing them. But point number one is, I really believe that if you focus on something, you'll experience it. Secondly, when you set a goal, there's an interesting dynamic that happens. And that is, when you set a goal, basically you're acknowledging to both your conscious and subconscious minds that where you are right now is not where you want to be, which is you begin to notice the distinctions between where you want to be and where you are. And as you feel that distinction, your brain becomes dissatisfied. And part of what motivates human action is a sense of dissatisfaction. I mean, hey, when you're totally comfortable and relaxed, feeling pleasure, you're not super motivated to do whatever it takes to make things happen, generally as a generalization. However, when we get dissatisfied, that's when we got some real power. In fact, I tell most people in life, one of the biggest traps that most people fall into is called success. For a lot of people, success is a trap. Because what happens is when they get successful, oftentimes they tend to party. When they fail, they tend to ponder. And out of that pondering, sometimes they make some new distinctions. Dissatisfaction is a power that you want to take advantage of, not something for you to try and hide yourself out from. There is real power in finding some things you want to move away from because look, pressure is what creates human behavior. Pressure and tension are primary drivers of our actions. I mean, think about it on a ridiculously simple level. What makes you want to eat? Is it not a certain level of pressure or tension? What makes you want to make love and be with somebody? There's a certain amount of pressure that creates that feeling. Learning to manage pressure and tension in your life is probably one of the basic fundamental lessons we all must master if we really want to have a balanced life where we really feel happy and successful. But learning to use pressure and goal setting is absolutely critical. With literally no pressure to go for it, we have no motivation. And so a certain amount of pressure is generated when you clearly define what it is you want and you see that you aren't there. It creates a gestalt where your brain says, hey, I want that. I'm not satisfied where I am. And you begin to have that drive. Don't hide out from it. Welcome it. Look at it every single day. Pressure isn't necessarily negative. It can be very positive, again, if you look at it as a tool for influencing yourself to take consistent action towards your success. You all know the metaphor, don't you? I mean, pressure is how diamonds are created. They're just rocks that got under intense pressure, and now they're turned into a gem. So right now, let's go for it. But before we do, let me just give you a couple of quick instructions. Number one, in this program, you're going to be doing the exercises while the tape is going. The reason why is traditionally I did tapes in the past where I had people do a goal-setting workshop and I gave them instructions, and at the end of the tape they were supposed to do it. Our research showed that many people did not follow through. So this is a real-time tape. It's designed to prompt you to really follow through. So here are a few key elements. One, you can't do this in your car and be effective. So if you're in your car right now, what I suggest you do is wait till later on when you're at home. Two, put the phone on hold or take it off the hook. One of the biggest challenges that happens for people is they get interrupted in the middle of their goal-setting workshop. You don't want that to happen. Let people know you can't be disturbed. You're just going to focus all of your power on creating a compelling future that will really drive you to use all of your ability and skill to make your life the way you really want it to be. So that's what this is about. And three, leave the tape running. I've designed this program so that whatever period of time we've given you for an exercise, I'll be with you or we'll have some music going. When the music is complete, it's time for the next exercise and I'll come on and give you that information. But again, please, write for the entire time you hear the music. Don't get lazy. Keep your pen moving. This is designed to be a workshop or a fun shop, if you will, but you got to get yourself to do it. And along the way, I'll be saying a few things to you just to trigger your mind a little bit. But as soon as the music is done and I come back on, we'll move on to the next exercise. Again, though, I want to reinforce, please keep your pen moving the entire time the music's on. Make sure you take full advantage of the time you hear it. Don't let yourself get lazy. Push yourself. By the way, a lot of times I have people tell me things like, well, Tony, you're successful in your life because, after all, you're so motivated. I'm just lazy. I tell people, you're not lazy. You just have infinite goals. What we want to do here is get some goals that'll drive you, some goals that got some power behind them. And the way to do that is, number one, remember what we talked about yesterday. Realize that right now you're about to create a real future that can make a major difference for you. That right now you're not just writing words down on a page, that even though you don't know how this is going to happen yet, that if you get something that you really want and you make it strong enough and you find strong enough reasons, you will find a way. I've done goal-setting workshops like this and seminars for years. And what's amazing is the kinds of results that people generate. I remember where a woman stood up and said, I want to set a major set of financial goals, and that's part of what we're going to do in this workshop. She said, I want to make $100,000, and I want it in the next 7 weeks. The challenge I had when she said this was, hey, wait a second. 7 weeks is too short a period of time. This woman's never made over $30,000 in a year in personal income. How in the heck is she going to make $100,000, especially when she has no plan? Now, while on the one hand, I'm not supportive of just setting goals arbitrarily like that, on the other hand, who am I to say what you're really capable of or not capable of? I think it's true that sometimes people set up goals that aren't realistic, meaning they really have no clue how it can be pulled off. But I also know that there's tremendous power if you get committed enough. And so as I started to tell this woman, well, maybe you ought to relook at your goal, she was so strong about it that I decided to just let her keep it. Who am I to stand in her way? And a good thing I didn't. 6.5 weeks later, she won the lottery and made exactly $100,000. Now, what's really interesting about this story is 6 months later, she came back to a seminar, and we talked about in the seminar what she had done. She set another goal that within 6 months this time, it wasn't quite as urgent, she'd make $150,000. Well, she made $200,000 again through a lottery. Now, I'm not suggesting set a bunch of lottery goals here by any stretch, and I'm not big on it. I don't buy lottery tickets. But I just want you to realize there may be a level of understanding about how to manifest goals that's beyond what you or I consciously understand. And this woman certainly was pretty good at it. She's not the only person. I shared her story one time, and a couple from Detroit listened to the story and got really inspired. And they just said, hey, as long as she can get this, why doesn't she ask for bigger numbers? We're going to do this thing, and we're going to make $1 million. And I got to kind of grit my teeth, and I said, look, that's not what I told the story for. But they got so into it, and they followed all the instructions. They set their goals, they got strong enough whys, they created the pressure, and they did something else that I teach. And that is to make your goals so real, once you know what your goals are, to make them so real in your mind that it feels as if you already have them. When you get to that level where your brain actually believes it's already happened, something clicks. And oftentimes, within a short period of time, that goal becomes realized. I mean, in physical situations, things start to happen. I know this sounds metaphysical, but all I can tell you is it's worked in my life and it's worked for other people. This couple went back and started telling people they'd won this lottery. And I kind of, quite honestly, got a little upset. They said, look, you said make it real. It's so real for us now. I mean, we have a hard time distinguishing. And sure, so let's start with the personal development goals. So here's how I want you to approach this if you would. 1, right now, put yourself in a state of mind of absolute total faith and absolute expectation that you can create anything you want. In fact, I'll tell you the best state to get in. I'd like you to imagine, if you would, that you're a little kid again. See, you're a little kid and pretend it's Christmas Eve. Because I can tell you something about little kids and Christmas. If they're going to go talk to Santa, they have no problem coming up with a list. Now, if you go to an adult and you say, what are your goals? Adults go, well, I don't know. Do you think we could do this? Kids, no way. Kids say, I'll tell you what I want. I want a swimming pool. In fact, I want 2 swimming pools. One for you, one for me. Yeah. And other kids go, yeah, we're going to get 2 swimming pools. Adults go, what are you talking about? You'd be lucky to get a tub in the backyard. You don't want to come from that frame. You want to come from absolute expectation without limits. You can get practical later. Right now, just get it out of you. I also want you to write as fast as you can move that pen. In other words, I don't want you ever to stop if at all possible. Just keep writing things down. You can abbreviate them if you want, but for the entire time you're writing, write rapidly. So we're going to start with our personal development goals. And I want you to imagine, who would you like to become? What would you like to do? Where would you like to go? What would you like to create in your life? What would be some skills you'd want? What would be some abilities you'd like? What are some character traits you'd like to develop within yourself? What would you like to master? Under personal development goals, obviously, are career goals. What are some goals you have for your career? What are some things you want to accomplish? I want you to write for 6 straight minutes everything you can imagine that would be a personal development goal for you. But again, please don't let your pen stop and get creative, get outrageous. And I want you to come from a frame of anything you want to develop in your life, anything you want to develop within yourself, any place you'd like to go, anything you'd like to do or be in the next 1 to 20 years. So the time to begin is now. Get yourself in state. And when I say now, start writing as fast as you can. Your 6 minutes begin now. Go for it. Again, as you're writing, who do you want to become? What skills do you want to master? What do you want to learn? How do you want to feel emotionally about yourself? What are some emotional goals? What are some fears you want to conquer? What are some of your social goals? Who would you like to get to be close to in terms of your own development? What teachers would you like to have enter your life? Who would you like to study with? Who would you like to meet personally? What would you like to learn about? Where would you like to go in terms of learning? Would you like to learn to dance? Would you like to learn to sing? Would you like to learn to speak another language or many other languages? Would you like to put yourself in some challenging situations that would make you grow? Maybe swim with pink dolphins of Peru. They bite, you know. They're different than other dolphins. What are some of your spiritual goals? How do you want to conduct yourself each day in the way you treat yourself and other people? What do you need to do on a regular basis to feel really good about yourself spiritually? How many books would you like to read a year? What books would you like to read? Would you like to learn to act or speak in public? Would writing a book be important to you? Are there some environments you'd like to challenge yourself with? Would you like to learn to scuba dive? Would you like to live in a foreign country? Would you consider joining the Peace Corps for 6 months? Would you like to take in a foreign exchange student? Have them live with you so you get to know another culture? Would you like to become a big brother? What would you like to give in your life? What would you like to build? What are some of your long-term goals of contribution? Who do you want to surround yourself with as your friends, the people that will help shape your values, the way you feel about yourself mentally and emotionally? Would you like to learn to be on time, if you're not already? Would you like to learn to manage your time more effectively? Would you like to learn to manage other people? Okay, finish up now. Is there anything else you really want to accomplish? Anything else you want to see in your life? Maybe you want to look face to face with a Mona Lisa. That's just part of what you want to connect, or you want to have lunch in a sidewalk cafe in Paris, or you want to soak up history in London. I don't know. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to experience life with? What would you like to learn? What character traits? When people describe you, who do you want to be? Maybe you want to go on a physical fast. What are some of your physical goals? Get those down too. What weight do you want to be at? How much energy do you want? Those are all part of personal development. You have 10 seconds left. Finish up. Okay, time. All right, excellent. Now you should have a decent list right now of personal development goals. Things you want to do with yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Places you'd like to go, experiences you'd like to create in your life that'll take you to a whole other level of joy and pleasure and passion and growth. Now these are fabulous. Now some of them you may be more committed to than others. Okay, now that you've got this list, go through each of the goals, and it's important to put a timeline on it. It's been said that goals are nothing but dreams with a deadline. So even though you don't know how yet, I want you to kind of get a sense of your priorities of importance simply by going through, and next to each one of these goals, I want you to write a timeline of when you will accomplish it by. And your examples are, put a 1 next to it if it's something you're committed to accomplishing within 1 year or less. Put 3 if you're committed to accomplishing it within 3 years, 3 years or less. 5 for 5 years or less, 10 for 10 years or less, or 20 for 20 years or less. I'm going to give you a minute and a half to do that. Do it now. Remember, you may not know how you're going to accomplish it, and that's okay. Just find out what's most important to you and put a timeline on it now. Okay, so now the next step is I want you to go through this list of personal development goals, and I want you to select the top 3 one-year goals you've got. In other words, look at all the ones you wrote down that you want to accomplish within a year or less, and pick 3 of them that would really compel you, that would really get you excited. Pick the top 3 personal development goals that you're absolutely committed to accomplishing within the next year. Pick those out right now. And as you pull each one of them out, what I want you to do is right next to it, I want you to write down a paragraph as to why you absolutely are committed to achieving this goal within the next year. So again, pick your top 3 one-year goals out of this list, and then write them on a separate sheet in your success journal, where you write the goal, and underneath it you write a paragraph as to why you're absolutely committed to achieving this goal now. All right, fabulous. So you now should have, out of your list, the 3 most important personal development goals for yourself in the next year. Take a look at them and how important they are. Remember, reasons come first, answers come second. Are the reasons to get them strong enough to really get you to follow through? If not, either pick another goal or get better reasons. And if so, you've got a strong goal now that you will achieve. Let's go on to the next set of goals. The next set are called things goals. Thing goals are just things that you want to have, do, be, create. And what they are is they can be materialistic if you want, and a lot of people are hung up about that. Why is it that people allow themselves to have emotional abundance, spiritual abundance, sometimes relationship abundance, but cut it off in the era of financial? It's because a lot of us have negative neuroassociations that if we have money, boy, we're being selfish. Well, the bottom line is we're going to talk about that when we talk about unleashing your financial genius. But money is no different than anything else in your life. You should deserve to have an abundance of it as much as you do an abundance of energy or an abundance of love or an abundance of contribution. So please create for yourself now, starting with thing goals, what are some of the elements you'd really like to have in your life? And we're going to do this very quickly. And I want you to let your imagination go wild. Go nuts. If there were no limits economically, what are some of the things you'd like to do? What are some of the things you'd like to have in your life? And maybe many of these have nothing to do with personal development. They're just pure pleasure. That's okay. That's fine. Again, imagine if you were a little kid again and there were no limits. What are some of the things you'd have, do, and create in your life? Write them down starting now, and it's anything you want to have, do, or create in your life between now and the next 20 years. We're going to give you about 2.5 minutes to be able to do this, to make your list of thing goals. So go for it now. While you're doing this, just let your mind go free. Just write as rapidly as you can. Again, don't stop. If you're writing down cars, for example, don't write it in detail. Don't write 560 SEL, Mercedes, Benz, blue and gold. Just write 560 SL. You know what it means. And get to the next one quickly. You want a yacht? Where else do you want a home besides where you are now? Do you want to build a home? Do you want to race camels between the pyramids of Egypt with your best friend and win? What are some of your nitty-gritty goals? What are some of those things that people said, oh, you'll never have that? Do you want a helicopter? A jet plane? Do you want to create your own music studio? Do you want a separate little cottage to escape to? Or a beach house? Or a beach condo? Do you want a little sailboat you can escape with? Would you like to own an island in the Pacific? Or maybe a timeshare in the Pacific? What would you really like to have? What are some of your thing goals? Are there some concerts you want to go to? Some plays? Some movies? Are there some things you want to give your kids? What would you like to give your kids? Do you want a butler? Do you want a maid? Do you want somebody who'll cook great meals for yourself and your family? Do you want a gardener? Do you want to own an airplane? Okay, so now that you've got this list of thing goals, hopefully you got a lot. And by the way, how do you feel about those? If you had all those things in your life, would it be kind of fun? And you say, yeah, to say the least. Well, great. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do now with this list of thing goals exactly what we did with those personal development goals. I want you to go one by one, and next to each one, write down when are you absolutely committed to having these things in your life by? Within 1 year? Within 3 years? Within 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years? Do that very quickly right now. And again, while you're doing this, remember, you may not know how you're going to do it. I had no idea when I set goals for myself how I was going to accomplish most of them. And the timeline seemed unreasonable. What matters is not whether or not you know how yet. Not whether the timeline is reasonable, but whether or not you're absolutely committed to having these goals happen. The more committed they are, the sooner you'll probably get them. Okay, now that you've done that, we'll do the third step, just like, again, we did with the personal development goals. I want you to go through this list and look at the things you're committed to having in your life within 1 year or less. And I want you to pick the 3 that are most important to you. The 3 that would really drive you, that would really get you excited, get you a bit passionate about really working hard and making things happen, because you could have these neat things in your life too. So I want you to do that right now. What are the top 3 out of your whole list? And then again, write them down on a separate page in your success journal. And under each one, I want you to write, why are you absolutely committed to having these things be in your life within 1 year? Again, so you're going to pick your top 3 one-year thing goals, things you want to have in your life or do in your life. And why are you absolutely committed? Write a paragraph. Why are you absolutely committed to having these things be in your life within 1 year? Go for it. You've got 5 minutes, quickly. Remember on this, purpose is stronger than objects. So know why you want to do these things, why you want to have these things in your life. It's not just to have the things, it's the feelings you think you'll get from them. What will it mean? What will you be able to share? How much fun will it create for you? Okay, now that you've accomplished this, you now should have 2 sets of goals. One set that are personal development oriented, mental, emotional, social, spiritual types of goals, physical goals. And you've got 3 of those that you're committed to achieving within the next year that you're inspired about, and you've got strong reasons that have made them real. You should also now have 3 thing goals, things you want to do or have in your life within 1 year that you're equally inspired about. We're now going to give you 2 minutes to work on economic goals. Specifically, I want you to let your mind go nuts, go free. And I want you to create what will be your ultimate financial goals. In other words, what are all kinds of financial goals? Certain amounts of money you like to earn a month. And they don't have to be in any syntax or order. Just, hey, maybe you have a goal you want to earn $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or $100,000 a month in income. What are some of your annual financial goals? What do you want to be worth, your net worth, in your lifetime? Do you have some business goals? Do you have some goals that you want for your company or for yourself? Do you have some financial goals about how much you want to give each year? Do you have some investment goals? What are some of your specific investment goals? And again, for some people, these goals are the most difficult because they've only got a couple. Well, I'd like to make this much in a year, and I'd like to have this much in savings. Come up with a whole list. And again, just let your mind flow. Anything that's related to finances that you can think of as a goal, you write it down. You got 2 minutes. Again, remember, anything that's related to any financial goals you've got, jot them down. Push yourself. Think. Is there monies that you want to set aside for your kids for college, for example? Is there a mutual fund you need to start investing in of some sort? Some real estate goals that you have in terms of investment? Do you have an IRA? Should you get an IRA? Do you know what an IRA is? Do you have some kind of retirement account or some way to organize it so that in the mature years of your life, you have more than enough economics to support you in having a great lifestyle? And I'm not suggesting that at a certain age you just give up and stop working or being productive by any stretch. But what are some financial goals you've got at different ages of your life? Where do you want to be? You got about 15 seconds left. Anything else you can think of, jot it down. Okay, time. I want you to now go through these financial goals. And this will be simpler than any other one we've done before this in terms of organizing our goals. On a new sheet of paper, taking all this brainstorming into account, I want you to describe for yourself your financial goals for 1 year from now or sooner, 3 years or sooner, 5-year financial goals, 10-year financial goals, and 20-year financial goals. Go for it. I'll give you 2 minutes. Great. Now let's do the final process here on our finances. I want you to take your 1-year financial goals and, like the other goals we've done earlier, write down why you're absolutely committed to meeting those financial goals within 1 year. Write it down now and make it strong enough that you'll follow through and make it happen. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, so what have we accomplished in this workshop thus far? Well, 1, let's review. You now have a whole list of personal development goals and timelines for their attainment, but most importantly, you have 3 specific 1-year goals that you are inspired about and you are committed to achieving, and you know why. That's the power. 2, you've got a whole list of thing goals, kind of a shopping list of fun, and you've selected 3 things that you're absolutely committed to having within a year, and again, you know why, so you got that power behind you. And 3, you've got a list of financial goals, of which 3 of them you're absolutely committed to achieving within the next year, and again, you know why. So you have 9 goals now with the reasons behind them and a commitment to achieve them within a year. I got a question for you. How would you feel if within 1 year, all 9 of those goals absolutely were mastered and attained? If you had developed those aspects of your life, if you had these things in your life and you were at this level economically, how would you feel about yourself? How would you feel about living and life and fun and your ability to set and achieve goals successfully now? Think about it. If you're not thoroughly inspired, you need some better goals. Go back and refine them or get some stronger reasons. If you are, you now have something that you will achieve. You want to take these 9 goals and keep them in front of you on a consistent basis. You want to look at them daily. So you might want to put these on the inside cover of your journal or someplace that you're going to see it virtually every day. Your 9 goals and why you're absolutely committed to achieving them. What else do we need to do? 2 more things. 1, we've got to develop a plan. So you're going to need to continue to do this on your own. But before you leave this moment, there's something I've learned about goal setting that has really empowered me. And that is, I try to never leave the sight of a goal where I've set one without taking some action towards its attainment. I mean, right now, so you get the power of a momentum behind you. So right now, next to your 9 goals, I want you to come up with at least 1 activity you can take immediately, like right now or within the next 12 to 24 hours maximum. So let's say, for example, one of your personal development goals was you want to learn to dance or you want to learn to sing. Then I want you to go to right now, and you're going to go to the phone as soon as this tape is done and make a call to set an appointment. Do not put it off. If one of your goals, personal development-wise, was to learn to speak a new language, you're going to make that phone call. If one of your personal development goals was to go on a diet, you're going to start that tonight. When are you going to make the commitment, and what are you going to do to immediately initiate that? And if you're going to start tonight, call somebody and say, by the way, tonight don't make dinner because here's what I'm going to do, or here's what you should make for dinner. In other words, what is a single action you can take right away? If you have a big financial goal, for example, or a thing goal, you might say, well, Tony, what can I do? I set down this goal, and my goal was to have a new Mercedes-Benz. Well, great. Then you're to pick up the phone, and what's the first thing you do? Call and get them to send you a brochure, or go buy today and sit in one. What's something you could do right away? In other words, today is going to be a massive action day of making initial progress towards attaining these 9 goals. You're going to have a heck of a day. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's your assignment today. Number 1, to write down 1 action you can take in each of these 9 areas, and then to take that action today. I can't stress that enough. Do not leave the sight of a goal without taking some form of action to initiate that goal into becoming a reality. Does that make sense? Okay. The other thing I want you to do and finish off this tape with is this. I have learned, as I told you earlier, that it's useful not only to know why a goal is important, but also to take a look at what would the price be in your life if you didn't achieve a goal. In fact, one of the ways that I make decisions now that's really helped me in my life for a few years is I've developed this little thing I call my rocking chair test. And I offer it to you as a way of taking a look at your goals and making sure they make real sense for your life. Here's what I do. I imagine that I'm 85, 90 years old and I'm in my rocking chair. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking back on my life. And I look at the goals that I've considered. Like, for example, I decided I wanted to learn to fly helicopters. And I wasn't sure whether I should actually do it or not. I didn't have the time. I didn't really feel like it was a smart way to commit myself since I had so many other commitments out there. So what I did was this. I set the goal and I said, okay, let me look at it from two views. I'm 85, 90 years old. I'm in my rocking chair and I'm looking back on my life and I never learned to fly helicopters. What did I miss out on? How does it make me feel? Well, as I thought about it, I thought, God, I don't get to have the freedom. I don't get to share this incredible experience of the people of going 160 miles an hour, 10 feet above the water and doing what I call helicopter surfing. Kind of changes the state of normal surfers, but it's a lot of fun, right? But I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to go from San Diego to LA in 40 minutes. I'd have to keep driving for 3.5 hours for years and years and years each way. I'd miss out on seeing dolphins and whales and having fun and going on unique picnics up in the mountains with my lady at any time that I want to. I'd miss out on all that stuff. I'd miss out on so much juice. And in my rocking chair, I could see I wasn't willing to give up 40, 50, 60, 70 years of flying. It wouldn't be worth it. I'd always have remorse. Then I looked at the other perspective. What if I'm in a rocking chair, I'm 85 or 90, and I've been flying for 60, 50, 40, 70 years, whatever it would be? How would I feel then? And my state just brightened. I thought, what a life. To be able to fly, to think, to be, to do anything I want as quickly as I can and share it with all the people I care about. I mean, that's what life is all about. That's passion. That's joy. That is my life. I feel incredible about my life as I look back on it. I call that my rocking chair test, and it helps me make decisions real quickly. You can use it as well. Take a look at these goals and put yourself at age 80 or 90 in your rocking chair and say, okay, if I didn't accomplish these goals, how do I feel about myself and my life? What did it cost me? So that you see not only the benefit of getting the goal, but you also see, hey, there's going to be pain if I don't get it.